Far beyond the edge of the Milky Way, in the cold dark of space, a massive alien ship moved without a sound. It was called the Veyron Scout, and it belonged to the Galactic Council, a group of powerful alien species who had explored the stars for over 10,000 years. The ship was huge, almost the size of a small moon. Its metal skin was dark blue and silver, and thousands of small lights blinked across its surface like tiny stars. Inside, hundreds of alien crew members worked quietly at their stations, watching screens and checking data. At the front of the ship, on the command deck, stood Captain Thrixia Vorn. She was tall, with pale gray skin and deep black eyes. She had led scout missions for over 300 years, and she had seen many strange worlds. But tonight, her mission was simple. She was told to check on a small, unimportant planet at the edge of a quiet solar system. That planet was called Earth. "Report," Captain Vorn said, her voice calm and steady. A young officer named Dex, sitting at the science station, looked up. "Captain, we are close to the target system now. Scanners are online. We will reach the planet in 10 minutes. "Good," Vorn replied. "Let's see what kind of species lives there." The Galactic Council had a system for ranking planets. Every world that had life was placed into a class, from Class A, the most advanced, all the way down to Class E, the weakest and most primitive. Most planets in Class E had no technology at all. Some had only simple tools, a few had learned to use fire. And, according to old records, Earth was listed as Class E. The species living there, called humans, had only been observed a few times from a great distance. The report said humans were slow to develop, weak in body, and had no real understanding of space travel. The Council saw no danger in them. In fact, most alien species did not even know Earth existed. It was just another blue dot in a database waiting to be studied one day with no rush. Captain Vorn was not expecting anything exciting. This was supposed to be an easy mission. Fly in, scan the planet, record some basic data about the species, and fly back home. She had done this hundreds of times before. "Entering the system now," Dex said. The ship slowed down as it crossed past several planets, big gas giants and small rocky worlds. Finally, a blue and green planet appeared on the main screen. It looked peaceful, covered in clouds, oceans, and green land. "That's it," Vorn said. "Begin the scan." Dex touched a few controls, and the ship's powerful sensors reached out invisible waves toward the planet below. Data began to fill the screens. Population numbers, basic technology levels, weather patterns, radio signals. At first, everything looked normal. The reports were right. Humans lived in cities, used simple machines, and had radio communication. Nothing special, nothing new. But then, something strange happened. "Captain," Dex said, his voice suddenly changing. I'm seeing something odd. What is it?" "Z. The scanners are picking up energy signatures I didn't expect. Weapons, advanced ones, and structures in orbit. Small satellites but built with strange materials. Materials that shouldn't exist at their technology level." Vorn walked over to the science station and looked at the screen herself. Her eyes narrowed. "Are you sure the scanners are working correctly?" she asked. "Yes, Captain. I checked twice." On the screen, lines of data scrolled quickly. Humans had already sent objects into space. They had built machines that could fly faster than sound. They had created weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. And most strange of all, they had learned to split the atom, a type of technology that most classy species would not discover for another 5,000 years, if ever. "This doesn't make sense," Vorn whispered. She had studied hundreds of primitive worlds during her long career. Species at this level usually lived in small villages. They fought with sticks and simple blades. They looked at the stars and wondered what they were, but never came close to touching them. But humans were different. "Increase scan range," Vorn ordered. "I want a full report on their military capability, their communication systems, and any signs of unified government." The crew worked quickly, but the more they scanned, the more surprised they became. Humans were spread across the whole planet, divided into many different groups and countries, sometimes fighting each other, sometimes working together. They had built massive cities with tall buildings made of steel and glass. They had computers, the internet, satellites, and even early space stations. "Captain," said another officer, a communication specialist named Lyra. "I'm picking up thousands of radio and signal broadcasts from the surface. Music, information, entertainment. It's everywhere. Their planet is full of noise." Vorn stared at the screen in silence. In her long life, she had never seen a classy world with this much activity. It was as if someone had made a mistake in the old records, a mistake that had lasted for centuries. "How is this possible?" she said quietly. "Why does no one know about this?" Dex answered carefully. "Captain, the last full scan of this planet was over 800 years ago. Maybe the humans grew faster than anyone expected." Vorn had heard of species growing quickly before, but never like this. Most species needed thousands of years to go from simple tools to space travel. Humans seemed to have done it in a much shorter time, and they were still growing. "Send a message to the Galactic Council," Vorn said. "Tell them Earth's classification needs to be reviewed immediately." "Yes, Captain." While the crew prepared the message, Vorn kept watching the planet on the screen. She zoomed in on one of the human cities. Lights covered the ground like a blanket of stars stretching for miles in every direction. Cars moved along roads, planes flew through the sky, ships sailed across the oceans. It looked alive, it looked busy, it looked dangerous in a way she could not fully explain. "Captain," Lyra said suddenly, "I'm detecting something new, a signal very strong coming from one of their military bases. It looks like a targeting system." Vorn turned quickly. "Targeting? Are they aiming at something?" "I don't think so," Lyra said. "It looks like a routine system check. But Captain, the range of that system is incredible. If they wanted to, they could track objects in low orbit. Can they detect us?" Lyra paused, checking the data again. "Not yet. We are still cloaked, and we are far enough away. But if we get closer, or if our cloaking fails even for a second seems..." She did not need to finish the sentence. Everyone on the deck understood. Vorn took a deep breath. This mission was no longer simple. What was supposed to be a quiet, boring scan of a low-level planet had turned into something far more serious. "Continue the scan, but keep a safe distance," she ordered. "I want a full record of everything. Their weapons, their technology, their behavior. The Council needs to see this." For the next hour, the Varan scout quietly circled the far side of the planet, staying hidden, collecting more and more data. The crew watched in silence as human ships moved through the ocean. Human satellites orbited the planet, and human cities glowed brightly, even at night. The more they saw, the more questions filled their minds. Dex leaned back in his chair, staring at the numbers on his screen. "Captain, there's one more thing," he said slowly. "Their weapons. If all of them were combined, the power would be enough to destroy the surface of this entire planet many times over." The room went quiet. "They have the power to destroy their own world," Vorn repeated, almost to herself. "And yet, they are still here, still alive, still growing." "Maybe that's the real mystery," Lara said. "Not their weapons, their choice not to use them completely." Vorn looked at the planet again. Blue oceans, green land, white clouds moving slowly across the surface. From far away, it still looked peaceful, almost gentle. But underneath that calm appearance, something powerful was hiding. "Send the report now," Vorn finally said. "Tell the Council everything we found. Tell them Earth is not what the old records say. Tell them this world is dangerous, and we don't fully understand it yet." Lara nodded and began preparing the transmission. It would take several hours for the message to reach the Galactic Council's main station, located many light-years away. But once it arrived, things would change quickly. As the crew worked, Vorn stood silently at the front window, watching the small blue planet turn slowly below them. She thought about all the worlds she had visited before. Quiet, primitive worlds where nothing much ever happened. Earth felt different. It felt alive in a way she had never experienced. "Captain," Dex said softly, breaking the silence. "Do you think they know about us? About the Council? About the rest of the galaxy?" Vaughn shook her head. "No. Based on their technology, they still believe they are alone in the universe. They have theories, guesses, stories, but no real proof." "Then imagine," Dex said. "What will happen when they find out the truth?" Vaughn did not answer right away. She kept staring at the planet, watching the lights of human cities twinkle like reflections of the stars above them. Finally, she spoke. If a species can grow this fast, build weapons this powerful, and still choose peace over total destruction, then the day they meet the rest of the galaxy will not be an ordinary day. It might change everything we know about other civilizations. The transmission was sent a short while later, carrying with it images, data, and warnings about the strange blue planet called Earth. The message traveled silently through space, passing stars and empty darkness, heading toward the heart of the Galactic Council. None of the crew aboard the Varan Scout could imagine what would happen next. They did not know that this single report would soon reach, not just the Council leaders, but eventually, through leaks and rumors, other species across many star systems. They did not know that soon, screens across the galaxy would show images of Earth. They did not know that billions of alien eyes on distant worlds no human had ever heard of would soon be watching humanity with growing curiosity and growing fear. For now, the Varan Scout stayed hidden above Earth, watching quietly, waiting for new orders. Captain Varan stood at her post, unable to shake the feeling that everything was about to change. She looked one last time at the glowing planet below. "Rest well, little world," she whispered. "You have no idea what is coming." And far away, at the heart of the Galactic Council, an alarm began to ring, as her message finally arrived, opening the door to an event that no one in the galaxy would ever forget. Far away from Earth, at the very center of known space, there was a giant station called Aetheris Prime. This station was the home of the Galactic Council, the group that ruled over thousands of star systems and watched over hundreds of alien species. It was built like a huge ring of metal and light, floating quietly between two bright stars. Ships from many different worlds arrived and left every hour, carrying reports, trade goods, and news from across the galaxy. Inside the station, in a large round room filled with screens and glowing symbols, the council leaders were having a normal meeting. There were 7 of them, each one representing a powerful species. They talked about trade routes, new discoveries, and small conflicts between minor worlds. It was, for the most part, a quiet and boring day. Then, an alarm rang. It was not a loud alarm, just a soft chime, but every leader in the room turned their head at once. This alarm meant a new report had arrived, one marked as urgent. A tall alien named Chancellor Wraith Solon, the leader of the meeting, looked at the screen in front of him. His skin was a deep purple color, and his eyes glowed faintly, a sign of his species' long life and wisdom. "Show me the report," he said. The screen changed, showing the message sent by Captain Varan from the Varan Scout. Words and numbers filled the display along with images of Earth taken from orbit. The council members leaned forward, reading quickly. "Class E world," one of them muttered. "Why is a Class E report marked urgent?" "Keep reading," Solon said calmly. As the data continued to load, the room grew quiet. Numbers about human weapons appeared. Details about their satellites, their radio signals, their cities full of light. Then came the most shocking part. Information about atomic weapons. Weapons powerful enough to destroy entire regions of the planet in seconds. "This must be a mistake," said Counselor Thess, a small blue-skinned alien known for being very careful with facts. "No Class E species has ever developed weapons like this." "The scout ship checked twice," Solon replied, pointing to a line in the report. "Captain Vorn is one of our most experienced officers. She does not make mistakes." The room stayed silent for a moment. Then Counselor Thess spoke again, his voice full of doubt. "Even if this is true, one report from one ship is not enough proof. We must send another team to confirm this before we make any decisions." Solon nodded slowly. "Agreed. Prepare a larger fleet. Send our best scientists and soldiers. I want full confirmation, and I want it fast." And within hours, a new fleet was prepared. This time, it was not a single scout ship, but 5 large vessels, each filled with scientists, engineers, and soldiers. The fleet was led by a proud and confident commander named Kalis Thorn, a warrior from a species known for their strength and quick judgment. Commander Thorn had heard about the report, but he did not believe it. In his mind, no primitive planet could ever pose a real threat to the Galactic Council. "This will be an easy mission," Thorn told his crew before departure. "We fly in, confirm the data, maybe capture a few specimens for study, and fly back. Do not worry about danger. There is no danger from a Class E world." His crew nodded, trusting their commander's confidence. The 5 ships launched from Aetheris Prime, and began their long journey toward the quiet blue planet called Earth. Meanwhile, back on Earth, life continued as normal. Humans went to work, drove their cars, watched their televisions, and lived their busy lives, completely unaware that far above them, in the darkness of space, a small alien ship was still quietly watching, and a much larger fleet was now approaching. Weeks passed as the new fleet traveled through space. Commander Thorne spent his time reviewing old reports about primitive worlds, laughing at how simple and predictable such species usually were. He expected Earth to be no different, but when the fleet finally arrived near the edge of Earth's solar system, something happened that no one expected. "Commander," said the ship's science officer, a nervous young alien named Pell, "we are being tracked." Thorne turned quickly. "Tracked? By whom?" By the humans, sir. Their surface-based systems have detected our ships." The room went silent. Thorne stared at the screen in disbelief. "That's impossible. We are cloaked. Our ships use technology far beyond anything a Class E species could detect." "I know, sir," Pell said, his voice shaking slightly. "But look at this." On the screen, lines of data showed multiple radar signals from Earth, locking onto the alien fleet's position. Not perfectly, not with full detail, but enough to know something was there. "How?" Thorne whispered. Pell quickly searched through the data. "It seems they built a new detection system recently, sir. Very recently. It uses a method of tracking gravity disturbances. Something we did not think a classy species could invent for at least another few thousand years." Thorne's confidence, once so strong, began to shake. "Send a message to the Council. Tell them the humans have detected our fleet." As the message was prepared, another officer called out from across the room. "Commander, we're receiving strange signals from the surface. It sounds like military communication. They are preparing something." "Preparing what?" Thorne asked sharply. "I'm not sure, sir, but their tone, it sounds urgent, like they are getting ready for a possible threat." Thorne stood in silence for a moment, staring at the blue planet on the screen. It looked so peaceful from a distance, yet everything about this mission was becoming stranger by the minute. "Bring the fleet to a safer distance," he ordered. "I want full analysis on their military capabilities before we proceed." For hours, the alien scientists studied Earth's defense systems from a distance. What they found shocked them even more than the first report had. Humans had submarines hidden deep beneath their oceans, capable of firing weapons without warning. They had satellites in orbit watching their own planet for threats. They had fast-response military units ready to act within minutes of any danger. "This is not the behavior of a primitive species," Pell said quietly. "This is the behavior of a species that has learned through experience to always expect danger." Thorne frowned. "What do you mean?" Pell hesitated before answering. "Sir, I studied their history data during the transmission. Humans have a long history of conflict with each other. Wars, disasters, disagreements. It seems this constant struggle has made them very good at defending themselves, and very quick to prepare for danger." Thorne thought about this for a long moment. In his own species' history, most species, after learning about the vast size and mostly peaceful nature of the galaxy, became relaxed, trusting the Council to protect them. But humans had never known about the Council. They had never known about peace between the stars. They had only known survival on their own world. And it seemed that experience had shaped them into something the Council had never truly seen before. "Send another update to Aetheris Prime," Thorne said finally. "Tell them Earth is not simply a Class E world with strange weapons. Tell them their species reacts with speed we have never recorded before. Tell them we may need to reconsider our approach entirely." Back at Aetheris Prime, the Council received this second report with growing concern. What started as a strange anomaly in old records had now become one of the most talked-about topics among Council leaders and their advisors. "This is becoming serious," Councillor Thess admitted, finally dropping his earlier doubt. "If a Class E species can detect a cloaked fleet and respond within hours, we must ask ourselves, what is really happening on that planet?" Chancellor Solon stared at the reports for a long time before speaking. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we have been wrong about how we classify species. Perhaps technology level alone does not tell us everything about a species' true strength." "What do you mean?" asked another counselor. "I mean," Solon continued, "that humans may lack advanced starships and laser weapons, but they seem to possess something else, something harder to measure." The adaptability, speed of thought, the ability to solve problems quickly under pressure. The room fell into thoughtful silence. For the first time in a long while, the council was facing a question they did not have a clear answer to. Meanwhile, near Earth, Commander Thorne's fleet remained hidden at a safe distance, watching the planet carefully. Days passed. The alien scientists studied everything they could, from human communication networks to their scientific research facilities. Every new discovery seemed to raise more questions than answers. Then, one night something unexpected happened. A small research drone sent by Thorne's fleet to gather closer data suffered a technical malfunction. Its cloaking system failed for just a few seconds as it passed low over a remote area on Earth's surface. In that brief moment, it was spotted, not by a military system, but by a small group of human scientists working at a remote research station in a cold, isolated region. The drone, damaged and unable to reactivate its cloaking, crash-landed nearby. Panic spread through the alien fleet's command room. "We've lost contact with the drone," Pell announced, his voice full of worry. "It went down near a human research facility." Thorne clenched his fists. This could expose our entire mission. If humans study that drone and reverse engineer its technology, or worse, if they capture footage and share it publicly, this could change everything. "What should we do, Commander?" Pell asked. Thorne thought quickly. "We cannot risk sending our people to investigate directly. Not yet. For now, we watch. We see how the humans react to this discovery. Their behavior will tell us more about them than any scan ever could." And so, the fleet waited nervously, watching a nearby human research station through their remaining sensors, wondering how the small group of scientists below would respond to the strange metal object that had fallen from the sky. Down on Earth, inside the small research station located in a snowy remote region, a group of scientists gathered around the fallen object with flashlights and cautious steps. The drone was unlike anything they had ever seen, made of strange metal, with parts that seemed to glow faintly even without any visible power source. One of the scientists, a woman named Dr. Elena Ramos, knelt beside the object carefully. She was calm, focused, and known among her colleagues for her sharp mind and steady nerves. "This isn't ours," she said quietly, running her gloved hand along the smooth surface. "This isn't anyone's, not from this planet." Her colleague, a nervous young researcher named Sam, stepped back slightly. "Are you saying this is alien?" Elena did not answer right away. She studied the strange symbols etched into the drone's surface, symbols that matched no language she had ever seen. "I think," she finally said, "we need to be very careful and very smart about what we do next." High above, watching every movement through their sensors, the alien fleet held its breath, waiting to see what humanity's first real reaction to alien technology would be. Would they panic? Would they attack? Would they try to destroy the evidence out of fear? Or would they do something no one in the Galactic Council expected? As the tension grew both in space and on the icy ground below, one thing became clear to everyone watching, whether human or alien. This moment, this quiet night at a remote research station, was about to change the course of history forever. Commander Thorne stared at the screen, his earlier confidence completely gone, replaced by something he had not felt in centuries: uncertainty. "Send this footage to the Council immediately," he said quietly. "They need to see this too. Everyone needs to see this." As the message was prepared for transmission, far away on Aetherius Prime, more alien leaders and scientists from other worlds began quietly requesting access to the growing reports about Earth. Word was spreading, slowly at first, then faster through private channels and secure networks across the galaxy. A strange, primitive-looking planet, filled with dangerous weapons, unmatched speed of response, and now direct contact with alien technology, had become the most talked-about mystery among the stars. And no one, not even the wisest members of the Galactic Council, could predict what would happen when the truth about Earth finally reached every corner of the galaxy. The snow fell quietly over the small research station, covering the ground in a soft white blanket. Inside, Dr. Elena Ramos stood in front of the strange metal object, her flashlight shining on its smooth, glowing surface. Around her, the rest of the research team stood in silence, unsure of what to do next. "We should call the military," Sam said, his voice shaking. "This could be dangerous. This could be a weapon." Elena shook her head slowly. "If this was a weapon, I think it would have done something by now. It's been sitting here for almost an hour. It's not moving. It's not making any threatening sounds. I think it's just damaged. Damaged from what? Another scientist asked. A crash? From where? No one had an answer. They all knew without saying it out loud that this object had not come from any country on Earth. Its shape was too strange, its materials too advanced, and the soft blue light pulsing from inside it looked unlike anything human engineers had ever built. Elena took a small device from her bag, a simple scanner used for studying rocks and minerals during their research trips. She pointed it at the object and watched the screen. The numbers made no sense. The material was unknown. The energy readings were unlike anything in her database. "This is real," she whispered. "This is actually real." Above them, hidden in the darkness of space, Commander Thorne and his crew watched everything through their remaining sensors. The drone's camera, though damaged, still worked well enough to send a weak signal back to the fleet. "They're not attacking it," Pell said, watching the feed carefully. "They're examining it carefully, almost gently." Thorne leaned forward, studying the human woman on the screen. She could destroy it, take it apart, use it as a weapon against us, if she wanted to understand our technology. Yet she moves so carefully. Why? "Maybe," Pell said slowly. "She's not thinking about attacking. Maybe she's thinking about learning." Back on the ground, Elena made a decision. She turned to her team. "We're not touching it any further tonight. We'll document everything, take photos, keep a safe distance, and call in specialists in the morning. If this is truly not from our world, then destroying it, or handling it carelessly, could be a terrible mistake." Sam frowned. "You mean you want to protect it?" "I mean," Elena said firmly, "if something crashed near us that didn't come from our world, causing damage to it now, could ruin the only chance we might ever get to understand it, and whoever sent it." The team agreed, setting up a simple perimeter with lights and cameras to keep watch overnight, without disturbing the object further. As the hours passed, nothing else happened. The drone remained still, its lights slowly dimming as its remaining power ran low. Elena stayed awake most of the night, sitting a short distance away, simply watching. At one point she spoke quietly, almost to herself, though she suspected deep down that someone or something might be listening. "If you're out there," she said softly into the cold night air, "and if you can somehow hear this, we're not going to hurt you. We don't know who you are, or where you're from, but we're not afraid. We just want to understand." High above, the drone's audio sensor, though damaged, picked up her words and sent them faintly back to Commander Thorne's fleet. The command room fell silent as her voice played through the speakers. Thorne stared at the screen for a long time. In his many years of service, he had seen countless first encounters between the Council and newly discovered species. Almost every single one ended in fear, panic, or aggressive defense. Species who suddenly realized they were not alone in the universe usually reacted with terror, sometimes attacking anything unfamiliar out of pure instinct. But this human woman, alone in the cold night speaking softly to an alien object she did not understand, showed no fear at all, only calm curiosity. And something else, something Thorne struggled to name. "Kindness," Pell said quietly, almost reading his commander's thoughts. "She's showing kindness to something she doesn't even understand." Thorne did not respond right away. He simply watched the screen deep in thought. The next morning back at Aetherius Prime, the Galactic Council received the full recording from Thorne's fleet. Chancellor Solon watched the footage carefully, along with the rest of the council members. When Elena's soft words played through the room, speakers translated instantly by the council's advanced systems, a heavy silence fell over everyone present. "She spoke to it," Councillor Thess said, clearly surprised. "She spoke to a piece of technology she believed might be listening, offering peace without knowing if anyone would ever hear her." "This changes things," Solon said slowly. "Every report we have discussed so far shows a species capable of great destruction, quick response to danger, and remarkable technological growth. Yet here, in this single quiet moment, we see something else entirely. Compassion, patience, a choice to protect rather than destroy. Even when fear would have been justified." The room stayed quiet for a long moment, each council member considering the meaning of what they had just witnessed. Word of this event spread quickly beyond the closed doors of the council chamber. Other species, allies, and observers connected to the Galactic Council through various treaties began requesting access to the growing files on Earth. At first, the Council tried to keep the information private, worried about causing unnecessary panic or excitement across the galaxy. But keeping such an incredible story secret proved impossible. Within days, reports about the mysterious blue planet leaked into wider networks. Alien scientists on distant worlds began sharing theories. News channels on advanced planets, always hungry for exciting stories, picked up fragments of the reports and began broadcasting them to their own populations. A primitive world with weapons beyond its level. A species that detects hidden fleets within hours. A being who spoke gently to a fallen alien machine, offering only peace. These headlines spread rapidly, capturing the attention of countless different species scattered across thousands of star systems. Slowly, almost like a spark turning into a wildfire, curiosity about Earth grew into something the galaxy had never experienced before. Widespread shared attention on a single unknown world. Chancellor Solon called an emergency meeting once he realized how quickly the story had spread beyond their control. "We can no longer keep this quiet," he said to the gathered council members. "The information is already out. Species across multiple systems are requesting official statements. If we remain silent, false information and wild rumors will only grow worse." "What do you suggest?" Councillor Thace asked. Solon thought carefully before answering. "I suggest we take control of the narrative. We officially confirm the discovery of Earth, share carefully selected information, and allow the galaxy to observe the species properly, through verified reports rather than rumors and guesses." After much discussion, the council agreed. A historic decision was made, one that would change the way countless civilizations viewed the young, unaware species living quietly on their small blue world. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council prepared to open a live shared broadcast, allowing verified information and updates about Earth to be viewed by any species connected to their network. It was meant to be a controlled, careful release of information. No one expected just how much attention it would receive. Within hours of the announcement, screens across the galaxy on space stations, on alien homeworlds, inside ships traveling between the stars, began displaying live updates about Earth. Species who had never left their home systems, species who ruled over vast empires, and species who lived quietly on the edges of known space, all turned their attention toward the same small, unaware planet. Back near Earth, Commander Thorne's fleet remained on watch, now under new orders. Instead of simply observing quietly, they were to begin recording continuous footage safely from a distance for the Council's broadcast. "This is strange," Pell said one day, watching the growing amount of data being sent from their fleet to systems across the galaxy. An entire species, unaware they're being watched, has become the biggest event in the galaxy this century. Thorne nodded slowly. "And they still don't even know we exist." Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Elena Ramos and her team continued their careful study of the fallen object, now moved to a secure facility for deeper research. Government officials had been informed, and a small, secretive group of scientists and military leaders had been assigned to investigate the strange discovery quietly, without alarming the public. Elena worked closely with this new team, sharing her observations and her belief that whatever, or whoever, had sent this object likely meant no immediate harm. "If they wanted to attack us," she explained during a private briefing, "they had every opportunity already. Instead, this device seems built for observation, not aggression. I believe we are being watched, studied, perhaps even tested." A senior military officer in the room frowned. "Tested for what?" Elena paused before answering. "Tested to see how we react. Tested to see what kind of species we truly are." Her words, though she did not know it, matched almost exactly what alien scientists across the galaxy were now discussing openly, as they watched carefully selected footage of humanity's daily lives, mixed with reports of powerful weapons and remarkable resilience. Slowly, a new question began forming among countless different species watching the growing broadcast. What kind of species reacts to danger with such incredible speed, builds weapons capable of massive destruction, yet still chooses gentleness and patience when faced with the unknown? No species in recorded galactic history had shown such a striking mixture of strength and compassion at the exact same time. Back at Aetherius Prime, Chancellor Solon stood quietly in his private chambers, reviewing the latest reports late into the night. The broadcast had already reached far more systems than he had anticipated, and interest continued growing every single day. A young assistant entered quietly, carrying a fresh update. "Chancellor, viewer numbers have doubled again. Species from over 300 different systems are now actively following the Earth reports." Solon sighed, both amazed and slightly worried by how quickly the situation had grown. "Humanity has no idea," he murmured, "that they have become the most watched species in the galaxy, all within the span of a few short weeks." The assistant hesitated before speaking again. "Chancellor, there's something else. Several Council allies are now requesting official contact be made. They believe simple observation is no longer enough. They want answers directly." Solon looked up sharply. "Direct contact? That would change everything. There would be no turning back once that door is opened." "I understand, Chancellor. But given how quickly interest has spread, delaying much longer may only create more confusion. Or worse, uncontrolled independent contact attempts from smaller groups, eager to be the first to interact with this species." Solon stood silently for a long moment, staring out of his chamber window at the vast field of stars beyond. Somewhere out there, a small, unaware planet continued spinning quietly, its people going about their daily lives, completely unaware that they had already captured the attention and growing respect of a galaxy far larger and more diverse than they could ever imagine. "Very well," Solon finally said. "Prepare the necessary discussions. If direct contact becomes unavoidable, we will ensure it happens carefully and peacefully." As preparations quietly began behind closed doors, the broadcast continued spreading across countless worlds, showing images of human cities, human strength, and most importantly, moments of quiet human kindness that had captured the imagination of an entire galaxy. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Galactic Council found itself facing something completely unpredictable. A species too dangerous to ignore, a species too kind to fear, and a species that, without even knowing it yet, was about to change the future of every single civilization, watching them from the stars above. News of Earth had now spread across the galaxy like wildfire. What began as a quiet report from a single scout ship had grown into the biggest event in centuries. On countless worlds, in countless star systems, alien species gathered around their screens, eager to learn more about the strange blue planet and its unusual people. At Aetheris Prime, Chancellor Wraith Solon stood before the full Galactic Council, along with representatives from dozens of allied worlds who had traveled great distances just to be part of this historic discussion. "We have watched this species for many weeks now," Solon began, his voice calm but firm. "We have seen their strength. We have seen their speed. We have seen their kindness. It is time we decide together what our next step will be." Councillor Thess, once the most doubtful among them, now spoke with a different tone. "I believe we have delayed long enough. If we do not make official contact soon, someone else will. Independent groups, smaller factions eager for attention, may attempt to reach Earth without proper caution. That could be dangerous, both for them and for humanity." Murmurs of agreement spread through the room. Solon nodded slowly. "Then it is decided. We will prepare for official first contact, but we must proceed carefully. This will not be like meeting other spacefaring species who already understand the existence of a larger galaxy. Humanity believes even now that they are alone in the universe." A representative from a distant ally world raised a question. "How do we approach a species who has never known peace between civilizations, only conflict within their own world? What if they react with fear, or worse, aggression?" Solon considered this carefully. "That is why we must be patient and honest. We will not hide, and we will not deceive them. We will show respect first, and give them time to understand." The council spent the next several days preparing carefully for what would become the most important moment in Earth's short history, without a single human yet aware of what was coming. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Dr. Elena Ramos continued her research at the secure facility. The fallen drone had been studied extensively, though its advanced technology remained mostly a mystery. Still, her team had learned enough to confirm one important fact. The object was not just a machine, it was a message, proof that Earth was not alone. News of the discovery had slowly spread beyond the small research team, reaching high levels of government around the world. Meetings were held quietly between world leaders, all trying to decide how to respond to something none of them had ever prepared for. "If this is real," said one government official during a private meeting, "we need to be ready for anything: communication, defense, cooperation. We don't know which one we'll need first." Elena, invited to speak at one such meeting, offered a different perspective. "I don't think fear should guide our first steps," she said calmly. Whoever sent that drone had every opportunity to attack, to invade, to take what they wanted by force. Instead, they watched. They waited. That tells me they are not looking for war. I believe if we approach this moment with courage instead of panic, we might discover something greater than we ever imagined. Her words carried weight among the officials present, many of whom respected her calm thinking throughout the entire investigation. High above Earth, Commander Thorne's fleet remained in position, now joined by 2 additional council ships, sent to prepare for the historic first contact. The atmosphere aboard the fleet had changed completely since their arrival months earlier. What began as a mission filled with doubt and confidence in easy superiority had transformed into something far more respectful, even cautious. "Commander," Pell said one afternoon, reviewing the latest instructions from Aetherius Prime, "the Council has approved the final plan. We are to make contact within the next standard week." Thorne nodded slowly, staring at the peaceful blue planet on the screen, a planet he had once expected to be simple and unimportant. "After everything we've seen," he said quietly, "I find myself feeling something I haven't felt in a long time before a first contact mission." "What's that, Commander?" "Respect," Thorne admitted. "Real respect. Not because of their weapons, not because of their technology, but because of who they choose to be, even when no one is watching." Pell smiled slightly. "Perhaps that is exactly the point, Commander. Perhaps the true measure of a species is not found in their power, but in their choices." As the days passed, careful plans were finalized for the first official contact between humanity and the Galactic Council. It was decided that a single ship, unarmed and clearly marked with peaceful intentions, would approach Earth openly, broadcasting a message in as many human languages as their systems could translate, offering greetings and requesting a calm, respectful meeting. The chosen location for contact was a large, open field near one of Earth's major cities, agreed upon quietly between the Council and human leaders through a carefully established, secure communication channel set up in the days following the drone's discovery. On the day of contact, tension filled the air both on Earth and across the watching galaxy. Billions of alien viewers from countless different worlds tuned in to witness this unprecedented moment. Never before had so many different species watched a single event together, united by curiosity about one small, unaware planet. On Earth, a carefully selected group of scientists, translators, and government representatives gathered at the chosen meeting site. Elena Ramos stood among them, invited due to her crucial role throughout the entire event. Soldiers stood nearby, cautious but under strict orders not to act aggressively unless directly threatened. The sky above slowly began to change. A soft hum echoed across the open field as the air seemed to shimmer gently. Then, appearing as if stepping out from nowhere, a massive silver ship descended slowly from the clouds, its surface reflecting the sunlight in gentle waves of color. Gasps spread through the crowd of onlookers. Cameras from around the world captured every second, broadcasting live footage to millions of people watching anxiously from their homes. The ship landed gently, without any dramatic noise or aggressive movement, settling onto the grass as if it had done this 1,000 times before. For several long moments, nothing happened. The crowd waited, breathless, wondering what would come next. Then slowly, a section of the ship's smooth surface opened, revealing a soft light from within. A figure stepped out, tall, with pale gray skin, calm black eyes, and a posture that showed neither fear nor aggression. It was Captain Thrax Evorn, chosen specifically for this historic moment due to her calm nature and her role as the very first to discover Earth's true nature months earlier. She walked forward slowly, her movements gentle and unthreatening, stopping a respectful distance from the gathered humans. For a moment, silence filled the field. Then, a translated voice, calm and clear, spoke through a small device she carried. "People of Earth," Evorn said, her voice steady, "we come in peace. We have watched your world for some time now, not to harm you, but to understand you. Today, we wish to offer friendship and the beginning of a new chapter between your people and the wider galaxy." The crowd remained silent, absorbing the weight of her words. Elena stepped forward slightly, chosen earlier by the group to represent humanity's response. Her heart pounded, but her voice remained steady as she spoke. "We accept your offer of peace," she said clearly. "We do not fully understand everything about you yet, but we are willing to learn just as you have taken the time to learn about us." Thorn nodded slowly. A gesture she had learned meant respect among many species she had studied. "Then let today mark the beginning of understanding between our worlds." Slowly, cautiously, Thorn extended a hand toward Elena, a gesture the council had studied carefully, as a common human sign of goodwill and trust. Elena hesitated only a moment before stepping forward and gently shaking the alien captain's hand. Across the galaxy, on countless screens in countless star systems, billions of alien viewers watched this single moment unfold. A quiet field on a small, once unknown planet had become the center of galactic attention. The handshake between two very different beings symbolizing something far greater than either of them fully understood in that moment. Back on Etherius Prime, Chancellor Solon watched the broadcast with quiet satisfaction, surrounded by fellow council members and representatives from allied worlds. "It's done," Councillor Thess said softly. "First contact has finally happened." Solon nodded, though his eyes remained fixed on the screen. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. Humanity now knows the truth. The real question is, what will they choose to become, now that the door to the wider galaxy has been opened?" Back on Earth, following the initial meeting, discussions between human representatives and council officials began almost immediately. Questions were asked from both sides, careful explanations given about technology, history, and intentions. The council explained their system of classifying species, admitting openly that Earth's classification would need to be completely reconsidered. "You call us primitive," one human leader said during an early discussion, half amused, half curious. "Yet you seem almost cautious around us." Thorn, present during these discussions, answered honestly, "Your technology is still developing, yes, but your resilience, your speed of adaptation, and your capacity for both great strength and great kindness are qualities rarely found together in any species we have encountered. That, more than your weapons, makes you worth watching carefully and respecting deeply." Days turned into weeks as careful negotiations continued, slowly building trust between humanity and the Galactic Council. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, interest in Earth only continued to grow. Documentaries were made, discussions held on alien news networks, and countless theories debated about what role this remarkable new species might eventually play among the stars. Commander Thorn, now working closely alongside human military leaders to establish mutual understanding, found himself reflecting often on how much his own view had changed since the mission first began. "I once thought this would be an easy, unimportant mission," he admitted one evening to Pell, as they watched Earth's sunset from their ship's observation deck. "Now, I believe we may have just witnessed the beginning of something that will shape the future of this entire galaxy." Pell smiled. "Perhaps that is exactly why the Council sent us. Sometimes the most important discoveries come from missions we least expect to matter." Back home, humanity slowly adjusted to their new reality. Fear mixed with excitement, uncertainty blended with hope. But through it all, a general sense of unity began to grow. A shared understanding that their small, quiet planet now stood at the very edge of something far greater than anything they had imagined before. Elena Ramos, once a quiet scientist working at a remote research station, had unexpectedly become one of the most important figures in human history. Remembered as the calm voice who first reached out to the unknown with kindness instead of fear. Months later, as formal relations between Earth and the Galactic Council continued to strengthen, Chancellor Solon addressed a massive gathering of representatives from across the galaxy, marking the anniversary of humanity's official introduction to galactic society. "When we first discovered this small, unaware planet," Solon said, his voice carrying across countless connected worlds, "we expected nothing extraordinary. Instead, we found a species capable of destruction beyond their years, and yet capable of compassion beyond measure. We found a mirror in many ways, reflecting both the darkest and brightest possibilities of any civilization." He paused, looking toward a large screen displaying peaceful images of Earth. its cities glowing softly beneath a calm night sky. Let this be remembered, Solon continued. As the day the galaxy learned that true strength is not simply measured by power, but by the choices a species makes when given that power. Humanity chose peace. Humanity chose understanding. And because of that choice, the galaxy will never be the same again. As his speech ended, applause and gestures of respect echoed across countless different worlds, each species reflecting on what they had witnessed over the past several months. Back on Earth, standing quietly outside the research facility where everything had first begun, Elena looked up at the night sky, now filled with new meaning. Stars that once seemed distant and unreachable now represented countless worlds, countless species, and countless possibilities waiting to be explored. She smiled softly to herself, remembering the quiet night she had spoken gently to a fallen alien drone, uncertain if anyone would ever hear her words. Someone had, and because of that simple, kind moment, humanity's journey among the stars had only just begun. This was only the beginning. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again.